Welcome back to Lessons from the Front, and thank you for joining Nabil and I as we present to you our after-action report for a 500-point bolt-action game that took place in the snowy fields on the Eastern Front in 1945. Vehicles could only cross the semi-frozen river at the bridge, but infantry could cross the river at dedicated frozen points. The hamlet had two major building features to the right of the river, a large church and a farmstead. There was also a hill that dominated the center of the table.
Okay, so I'm Nabil. I'll be fighting Eugene with his Winter Germans today. Just to walk through the list of what I brought today. I brought a second lieutenant with his assistant. I brought in LMG squad with one LMG, guard squad, so they're all regulars but just with rifles, and SMG squad over here. This is my free rifle squad with 12 riflemen, all with free anti-tank grenades. And I decided to do something quite interesting today. I brought a new unit, which I don't think we have ever played with before. It is this 5-man team. It's a sniper detachment with 2 snipers in the squad. Yeah,
that looks interesting.
yeah. That's it. I'm quite excited to try them out today. And finally, making a comeback is the BA-10.
Oh,
yeah,
that's a good-looking army.
Yeah.
So this is my 500-point Winter German army to take on Nabil today. Starting with my second lieutenant. It's a 2-man team and they're regulars. Then this squad of regular infantry. There's 6 riflemen and 2 Panzerfausts. And then an inexperienced squad of 5 men, all armed with assault rifles. Then there is a regular sniper, a regular mortar team, then a regular 6-man rifle squad with 3 Panzerfausts, and then a veteran squad of infantry. There are 3 SMGs and a flamethrower.
Alright, so we did the roll off with the dice to choose the missions. We ended up with the scenario 11 surrounded. I'll be talking through a little bit about how we're going to be playing this game. So first off, the objective is quite simple. Both sides must attempt to destroy each other's forces while preserving their own forces. So the setup, the defenders would have to set up somewhere in the middle of the table within 12 inches with all of their units.
I placed the veteran squad with the flamethrower and the sniper in the farmstead area, and a regular here squad in the grounds of the churchyard.
The attacking force, they can have half of their units in reserve and they can come in from whichever table edge that they choose. For victory, basically what it is that we'll be adding up victory points. There will be 1 victory point for every unit destroyed, and we'll see how this goes.
The battle began as several violent cracks were heard from across the river. A Soviet DP-28 light machine gun opened fire at the Germans positioned in the churchyard, rousing them from their slumber. The burst of LMG fire did very little damage against the Germans, barely hitting anything from such a long range. Spotting the snipers that had moved onto the table, Eugene opened fire with his sniper positioned in one of the buildings, killing one of the men and pinning the Soviet sniper in place. Nabil promptly moved his BA-10 onto the main road, spraying an accurate burst of machine gun fire at the house from which the sniper was firing from. Taking advantage of the confused fight condition, Nabil moved his inexperienced squad against the church building, moving and shooting towards the Germans dug in at the church. However, with their inexperienced abilities, Nabil hardly hit any of the Germans, who had gone down. Needing to retake the initiative and feeling the pressure from the inexperienced squad, Eugene deployed a couple of his squads on the far side of the table to try and divert Nabil's attention. The BA-10 was swiftly dispatched by a couple of Panzerfausts. and the snipers were mowed down by gunfire from the Grenadiers' assault rifles. The Grenadiers immediately faced accurate fire from the LMG team and from Nabil's second lieutenant, armed with SMGs, to dispatch the Grenadiers. Several German soldiers were mowed down, and the German officer team was taken out. By this time, the bulk of Nabil's army, comprising of the inexperienced rifle team and an SMG squad, had forced the Germans from the church, pushing them back into the hamlet, and secured the compound. The Guards rifle team, flanking from the north, swiftly dispatched the German mortar team, and now further threatened the Germans in the hamlet. With Eugene surrounded, he sensed that a drastic move needed to be made, and he advanced his engineer squad, armed with a flamethrower and SMGs, out of the compound, out of the farmstead compound, and proceeded to torch the inexperienced Soviet infantry, taking a risk by having his troops exposed on the road. The pressure, however, proved to be overwhelming, and despite the engineers being in the open, the Soviets were promptly mowed down. The Soviet momentum had broken. The remainder of the Soviet infantry were easily picked off by withering SMG fire and accurate fire from the hamlet across the river. In the end, the Soviets lost the game 5-2, but it was an intense tactical game that greatly tested the ability of both sides to think and adapt quickly to rapidly changing situations on the tabletop. So Nabil, what were you saying about that being your toughest game ever?
Yeah, I mean, it was really one of it was the toughest 500-point game that I've played so far. I think the reason because of this is it boiled down to a lot of positioning. It boiled down to a lot of trying to figure out which targets to fire at first. I mean, we were whittling down each other so much to the point where I was starting to think what do I prioritize? Do I prioritize moving my pieces first? Do I prioritize firing first? It was a very tough game, yeah.
I think so. We played the mission surrounded.
Yeah.
And coming onto the table edge from our reserves, you couldn't come on to the table edge that your opponent had just come onto, right?
Yeah, correct.
And I made right at the beginning. I thought I was doing something really marvelous when I moved. When I what do you call it when you bring somebody on with your lieutenant?
Snap to.
Yeah, so I snapped to my inexperienced guys with my lieutenant. And I thought, I've got Nabil.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be right on his backside.
Yeah.
And then I just realized afterwards, oh my days, what a reckless move, because he could then come on behind me, and that's what happened.
This game really demonstrated how useful flamethrowers are and how deadly they are in close quarters. Because I mean, the fight was. I think you can see on the camera here.
Yeah.
We were fighting on this little hamlet there,
yeah.
And the flamethrower was just devastating. So I think that really served as a force multiplier for you. It was really tough to fight against that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I must say, I knew the flamethrower would play a major role in the game at some point, but I didn't realize how much of a role it would play, and I think it's because, as you're saying, it was within confined spaces, right?
Correct.
So I wiped out 2 units using the flamethrower. Deadly.
Another point, like for this game, definitely having some form of HE would have been helpful, but where do you fit a HE in a 500-point game? And if the roles were reversed for either one of us, I think it shows for Eugene's motor team, right?
Yes.
it was really just wiped out. So I mean, that's the challenge of having a 500-point game. Like, what do you invest in, and what kind of missions comes up, because it just really throws in the span into everything. Yeah.
I think selecting, first of all, I found it incredibly challenging just drawing up the list.
Oh yeah.
Trying to come up with 500 points, and like, will you bring a tank?
Yeah.
You did bring an armored car, so I did give my guys. I didn't bring any vehicles, but I did give my 2 of my squads a total of 5 Panzerfaust, which worked because I was able to take out his BA-10.
Yeah.
But I gave myself a mortar, just thinking that if you were going to be in a position where you were going to hold an objective, I wanted to nail you with a mortar.
Yeah.
And I was the defender, and my mortar came on. Yeah. I had to bring him onto the table, and because of the scenario, the mission, you brought on a unit behind my mortar and wiped it out in one turn.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It was tough. Yeah. So I mean, to anyone watching this, I think we definitely, I think Eugene will agree, play more 500-point games. it really makes you think from the start all the way to the end, you know, like list building to how you're fighting, your tactics, what you're using. It really forces you to be adaptable. It really forces you to think through your decisions really well. I mean, we play only 500 point games, but the amount of time taken, I think, is a full game.
So it's not only tactically stimulating and challenging, but also strategically, where you're going to be on the table.
Correct.
Very tough game.
Very tough game.
All right. Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, it was a very good game.
I'm immensely exhausted.
Still sweating over there. Oh my god!
Oh, wow, what a game! Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video.
So it's a 6.
We've had this amazing game. Thank you so much for that. It was incredible. But I want to give a big shout out to Adam Brooker. Can you see your dice, buddy? They worked really well today.
They worked really well. Much better than my dice, because I always roll low. And this game is like very balanced, and at critical moments I roll really high. So really good dice.
So guys, if you want to go and get yourself some dice, contact Adam Brooker. They are amazing.